Hi, ladies, and welcome to Chrystallis Conversations Live. Today, we have a lineup of amazing and inspiring women who are here to share with us a thing or two about how they've gotten to where they've gotten to. So, come with me and let's unpack the magic that is today.
Let's give a round of applause for the driving force behind Chrystallis Conversations, the media powerhouse, strategic communications virtuoso, and beacon of empowerment, none other than the extraordinary Kemi Ogunleye. Oh, good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming. To be honest, this idea came 7 years ago. This Good Morning workshop. It was after I did the first ever Crystalis event 7 years ago in London, and it was I don't know if we called it Crystalis. It was a conversation with Gloria Brimer, and it was an intimate one, similar to this, funny enough. And she sang her songs, some songs, and she told us the stories behind each song. So it was sort of, we walked through it with her. And some of the things that came out after that, people in the audience, mostly women, was the fact that, they were so inspired by Gloria's story, Gloria's journey. And many of them were, all of us, even at that time, in our 30s, 40s, 50s, were starting to feel like there's more that is inside me. I want to do more. I can do more. But I don't know. I remember one woman saying, my kids are just about leaving the house. I think have kids were maybe end of secondary school, going into uni. And she's like, I'm feeling like my life, 18 years or so, has been about my children. But now they're going. Who am I? I'm trying to figure out who I am now. Take off the mother hat, take off the wife hat. Who am I? And what have I got left to give to the world? And that's where I remember ruminating on that. And the next morning, the Good Morning Workshop idea came to me, or inspiration. I won't call it an idea because I believe God put it in my heart. And it was predicated on that proverb that says, whenever you wake up is your morning. It's never too late to be what it is that you were designed to be. No matter what you think, I'm 35, my mate started 10 years ago, I'm just starting, I'm 45, my mate started 20 years ago, I'm just starting, I'm 55, my mate started. There's no such thing. Literally, once that thought is in your mind, that means it's your morning. That means it is time. And that also means that you have the capacity to do that thing that has been placed in you to do. All you have to do is get started. A workshop, something like this, to equip those of us who are in that phase, in that thought that, okay, I've awoken now. I have potential. I have dreams. I have things I want to do. I know what I want to do, but I don't know the how. I don't know the practical steps. Who's going to help me? Who's going to walk with me? And the Good Morning Workshop is supposed to equip us with some of those practical steps that we need. And the lineup that we have today is exactly suited to that. I just thank God. 7 years down the line, God is a God of perfection, right? It has come to pass. And the lineup that we have speaks to that. We have Glory Edosian, PhD, in the house. Can you guys give her a round of applause, please? Glory Edosian is a LinkedIn and thought leadership expert. If you are on LinkedIn at all, then you must know her because she is a powerhouse on LinkedIn. But she's all about making us more visible, helping us to build our visibility, helping us to um, take advantage of the opportunities that are out there and helping those opportunities to find us as well. Because so many of us are in our corners. I know I am. I'm in my little corner and I'm just hoping that one day, they will remember me in this place. Somebody will call. But you have to put yourself out there, right? So Glory is going to help us do that. And then we have Ifoma Williams, strategic communications expert, my colleague in the industry. And Ifoma, I said to come speak to us about hacking the confidence code. You see, there is something that confidence does for you that will, when you add it to what Glory is going to tell you today, then you're almost going to be unstoppable. Because, at least let me speak for myself, I know what imposter syndrome has done for me, has how it has held me back, how it has made me feel like I don't want to go for this opportunity because I'm not, they said they need 10 things and I only have
8 of the things. I don't have all 10. And they always say that men, on the other hand, if they have 2, even 1, they are going there. They are going to, and they get those opportunities. Even if they don't have self, they will get there, they will yarn the thing somehow, somehow. But we are waiting until we are perfect. We are waiting until all the conditions are perfect. We're waiting until all our ducks are in a row. Does that ever happen? It never happens. So Ifuma is going to teach us how to be more confident. And confidence, being able to communicate with confidence, being able to think clearly about who you are and communicate that, being able to show up and present yourself. And when I say present, doesn't necessarily mean you are holding a microphone, but being able to enter a room and present yourself in that room with confidence. That's what Informa is here to speak to us about. And then we have Omoyemi Akerele. She'll be here shortly. She's just going to talk to us about her story. Because I think she has practicalized some of the things that we're going to be talking about today. And then, of course, the icing on the cake, we have Gazmadu. Most of you here should have taken your portraits by now. The idea is that professional headshot. By the time you have your LinkedIn all set up, you need a headshot now, or you have your CV, you need a headshot. By the time somebody calls you and says, come and speak somewhere, come and help, come and facilitate, you need that headshot. So that's why Gazmadu is in the house. Can we clap for them, please? Thank them for doing this. I told Yagaze about the idea and she was like, I'm in. I'm partnering with you, whatever it takes. We're doing this. And they've been doing my portraits for a few years. So, they're really partners to us. And we have Zaron in the house. We're going to have what we call, yes, clap for them. We're going to have what they're calling the Zaron experience, which means they're going to come up here, do a few demos. Again, you want to walk out of your house with, not that you have to get your face all big, but looking good makes you feel good. And when you feel good, you can be confident. You can be great. Thank you. When you feel good, when you feel good, then it affects everything. So they're just going to teach us how to dab and dust. So they're going to be doing some demos today. I have to thank our sponsors, the good folks at Nigeria Breweries, Amstel Malta, Legend Twist. Again, I went to them. I said, I have an idea. They said, we're with you. Want to do something for women? They're all in. Their brand is all about figuring out how to empower people, and they're really invested in women in particular. So thank you to, please clap for them, or without them, thank you to Amstel Malta and Legend Twist. Thank you to Beauty Hut. Look, you guys haven't seen your goodie bags, eh? Okay, we're going to use those goodie bags to tension everybody that is not here, because those goodie bags are loaded. Beauty Hut, they are a retail outlet. If you all the beauty brands, look, Nigerian and global, they stock them, and they've got some goodies for us that are in our goodie bags. We have Kokari coconuts. We have some yummy snacks from them. We have Zaron gave us some stuff, and we have gave us some, not even some stuff. I shouldn't say that, because Zaron really, when you see your goodie bag, you'll know what I mean. And then Stargate chauffeur, they came on board and they said, ladies who are confident and ladies who are out there killing it, they need the ride. Get there, That's Stargate for you. Stargate has a luxury car service. They can get you from literally will get you from where you are to where you want to be. So please clap for Stargate. I just want to say thank you to you. I didn't want to take up a lot of time. Most of you know what Chrystallis is all about. I don't want to go into that. Chrystallis is really a community platform where women can share, because I always say this and I can never get tired of saying it. Too many of us are dying in silence because we're not sharing our stories. You're not talking about what it is that you're going through. And when you're going through something, you think it's only you. Once you speak out, you first of all, you connect with other people that will say, me too. Guess what? Your answer may be with somebody who has been through what you've been going through. Solutions may be with that person. Or you may inspire somebody else who's also going through. So the whole idea of Chrystallis is to create this community, this platform for women to be able to come together, share our authentic stories, inspire each other, motivate each other, walk alongside each other as we evolve into the best version of ourselves. My name is Kemi Oguleye. I'm the crystallizer in chief. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Auntie. So something she forgot to say is that we'll also be doing a giveaway. So please pay attention so that you can take some extra freebies home. Um, I would also just want to give a special shout out really to the sponsors because I've seen the goodie bag, so I know what's in there. So thank you very much, Amstel Malta and Legend Twist, Beauty Hut, Gazmadu Studios, Kokari Coconuts, SRS Collection, Zaron and Stargate. You guys are completely and totally amazed. So we're gonna go straight into our first session. Who's pumped? I need to feel the energy in the room, otherwise I'll sit down. Thank you. So now get ready to be inspired as we dive into our first session of the day titled Rise and Shine, How to be Visible, Valued, and Valuable. Our speaker for this empowering session is an award-winning thought leadership expert and LinkedIn visibility coach for female executives across Africa. With a mission to empower high-achieving women of African descent to amplify their voices, build influential brands, and shine on the global stage, she's a true guiding light. As president of 9 to 5 Chick Media, she's a trailblazer, propelling women to new heights of success. Her clients' roster boasts industry giants like MTN, Shell, and Unilever, and her impact is felt globally from Forbes to Guardian Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Dr. Glory Edozian. Please welcome her to the stage.
All right, guys. Good morning, everyone. How's everyone doing? How many career people are on this table? Okay. How many? Both. Both. Okay. Okay. How many people have at least 10 years of experience in their business or career? Okay, more than half of the room. How many of you have a LinkedIn profile? Fantastic. How many of you are proud of your LinkedIn profile? You know, this phrase, when anytime a woman wakes up is her morning, we think it only happens once. But you will have many mornings. Many mornings. Many, many mornings. And each morning will require a different version of you. It will require you to show up. In fact, it's like the shedding of skin. You will shed and reshed and shed, and then you will wonder at some point, do I even have skin left to shed? But we'll get into that later. I like to start with this story anytime I speak, and it's about a friend of mine. It's a true story. A friend of mine, her name is Jade. Jade she's my good friend. She knows I talk about visibility. She likes all my posts on social media. And a list of top women in fintech came out. Jade at that time had been working for over 15 years in the fintech sector, had founded a fintech lending company actually. And so when this list came out, it made sense that her name should be on it. Her name was not there. And so she called me and she said, you know this list that they do? All these people, they just like to celebrate their friends, popularity contests. I didn't say anything. I kept quiet. I said, don't worry, babe. Next year, you'll get them next year. Then she was applying for an international opportunity. And she was really excited about this opportunity. She was filling the form. I asked her a question. Do you have any thought leadership pieces that demonstrates your competency and expertise? Jade's answer was no. They now asked her another question. Do you have anyone outside of your organization who is a senior level influencer in your sector that can vouch for your credibility? What do you think Jade's answer was? No. They now asked her another question. She said, Glory, this one pained me. Do you attend events as a speaker? Jade said, no. And so she called me. She said, Glory, I'm not going to get this opportunity because I've not even met the criteria for application. She tried, she applied, obviously, she didn't get it. So she spent 1 year doing all these things, building the network, publishing articles in Punch, Guardian, all of that. She started doing all of those things. Now, the question I had to ask Jade is, why have you not been doing these things? And she was like, I don't have time. I'm busy. I'm doing the work. I just want to do the work. For some, we have been socialized to think that those that just sit and do the work are the ones that somehow somebody's just going to see you in a crystal ball. Say she's at the back there doing the work. And like Superman, they'll just come and present you with the golden fleece. Somewhere, they have a crystal ball and they will spot you. Other things that we also say, we are so socialized as well by our negative experiences. Nobody wants to fall flat on their face. As I'm here in the background, if I make a mistake, nobody's going to know about it. But the minute I become visible and I fall, they will drag me. All of this, We are so for me, when I think about it, the root of all of this is fear. We are either, some people say afraid of success. I never really relate with that because I want to be successful, so I'm not afraid of the success. However, I think we are afraid for many reasons because of the way we've been socialized. I was talking to a client one day. She has over close to 30 years of experience, right? She's actually in her retirement years. She's worked, for top global companies. She's been in academia, all of that. And I said to her, I said, why are you not talking about your accomplishments? Why are you not talking about the things that you do? And she said, well, Glory, what have I even done? And I was just like, you say? What have I? And this is the thing that happens that women don't realize. When you don't talk about the things you've done, when you don't document your experience, you develop professional amnesia. You forget. You forget. And everybody forgets with you because nobody has space in their brain to be holding your thing. Maybe you're good friends. And women, we are good at hyping our friends, but never at hyping ourselves. And I said to her, but what about this success that you did and everything? Well, she's like, look, something happened and I just feel really bad about it. I was like, what about all these other things that you did? When you did them, what did you say to yourself? And she's like, I just said, thank God, I didn't fail. And I think that's another thing. When we do good work, we feel lucky. We don't realize that actually it is the combination of my expertise, my experience, my background that has led me to this success. We don't own our successes. And all of that contributes to how we show up and why we don't show up. So I want us to think about the different reasons why we're either not proud of our LinkedIn profile, or maybe we are afraid of being visible, or the issues we have with visibility. And I like 3 people, because I want this to be interactive. Abi, it's okay for it to be interactive. Okay, I want 3 people to just tell me, some of their reasons for not being visible. I'll start with mine. So a few years ago, well, not a few years now, maybe 15, 20 years, I was diagnosed with something called psoriasis. So if you look at my legs, you will even see some of the spots. So imagine 80% of my skin was filled with these spots, right? The last thing I wanted to be was visible. The last thing I wanted was anybody to see me. I used to wear, for 10 years, I didn't wear skirts. If I wore a skirt, I would wear thick, fat tights underneath, right? So visibility was, I don't want to know, nobody should see me because I didn't feel beautiful. I didn't feel deserving. I didn't feel valuable. That was one. And then I was not your typical, size 10, size 12, and all of that. And I remember I wanted to start this talk show because I had a good morning moment. I was working in a company. I felt, okay, I have arrived in some level of fashion, but I was deeply unfulfilled in my career. And so I said, okay, let me start this talk show and interview women that are doing amazing things in their careers. But I couldn't because I didn't feel like I was somebody that should be in front of a camera. I'd heard for years, the camera adds 10 pounds. And I said to myself, hey, I'm already overweight by 60. So as I am now, I will be 70 pounds extra in front of the camera. No, thank you, ma'am. Then I can't wear a skirt, I can't dress nice, I can't do all of that. So for a whole year, I said to myself, I'm not going to do this. And I just held the idea in my heart. And one day, I had another good morning moment. And I said, if I die, I die. I'm doing this thing. And I did it, and not one person. There was never a comment about, although when this was 2014 and we're not as savage as we are now on social media. We're not as savage. But I did that talk show. And through doing that talk show, I built a lot of networks. And that talk show is a foundation of why I'm now speaking to you today and speak on other platforms. Thank you. So let's talk about, why are we afraid? What are the things? I would like a representative from each table. Let's deconstruct these things. I'm going to come to you, but I want my favorite table to start. Okay, can I give someone the mic? Who would like to go? I feel like you're calling me with your eyes.
Why am I afraid? Not. It's funny. Last night, I was just sharing with her that last night my daughter looked at me. I was looking at a post on Instagram and she's like, why don't you ever talk about yourself? Why don't you let people know that you're an expert in this field? That people should be coming to you for this thing. You should be a giant in this industry. This is my 15-year-old that was telling me this last night. And I was just like, leave me alone. I have other things to do. But when you started to speak, I was like, why am I afraid? Why don't I ever put myself out? Why don't I do things? Because even when you ask me, I'm like, I'll do it in the background. Don't put my name down. In fact, I don't have a LinkedIn profile. And it just, I said to think just now, trying to recall all of the things I've done, all the companies I've worked with, and why is it not out there? What is stopping me? But like Kemi said earlier, I proudly say I prefer to be in the background. I ran, Kemi, you're aware, I worked with, I'm saying he's a global chef for years, and many people thought we were partners, but I just worked with him, and he would try to put me in front, and I'm like, no, 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 no. Let me just do the background work. Let me do the background work. And that's just what I do. I hide a lot. Why? I don't even have a clear answer as to why, but I prefer to be in the background. If you didn't ask me to speak, that's it.
But I could see in your eyes calling me. Okay, so can everybody tell her? So the first way to solve a problem is to realize you have it. So can everybody tell, what's your name? Can everybody say, Labake, good morning. And I love your daughter. I have a client as well. Her daughter was applying for roles in England and went on her mom's LinkedIn profile. And she just saw like a role from 10 years ago. And the daughter called the mom and she was like, Mommy, this job that you are always doing, there's nothing of it on LinkedIn. How are you? I don't understand. And mother, she felt so ashamed by it. So I'm loving these daughters of this generation. Okay, let me come to this table. Who'd like the microphone? Whose eyes are calling me? Yes.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jade, so you can imagine how personal your case study was. Literally, like everything that you said. So only recently I launched an NGO, and if I must say so myself, we are actually trying to push for a lot of impact, and we have our own page. And I work a 9 to 5 as well in an agency. So now I'm torn between how I present myself in two different lights without looking like a confused person, right? So at the point where I'm now really interested in, being a bit more visible, I'm like, oh, what do I say today? What do I say tomorrow? And so because of that, I haven't even done anything at all. So that's where I am.
What's your name? Jade. Please, everyone say, good morning, Jade. Okay, so I love that example. So what I would say to you, Jade, is that the world is used to the duality of people now because nobody's one thing. Nobody's one thing. And people are now used to it. So stop feeling confused. Clarity comes by movement. You will never get clear if you're just standing thinking. Clarity comes by moving forward. So start. And then if Monday you say, okay, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I'll talk about this. Thursday, Friday, I'll talk about this. Right? But tell your story. So that's what I'll say. Okay, let's come to this table.
My name is Lighton, and I'm a consultant. I was a banker for several years. I was a banker for 15 plus years. I was a consultant working with a consulting firm for several years. And then now I run my own consulting business. But the challenge that I have had is the fact that I undervalue my experience. I undervalue my knowledge. I undervalue what I have to offer. Just like the other ladies have said, there's this thing about the fact that you think that you downplay your experience and you downplay the fact that who would value what I have to offer them. And on my side is my son that's always pushing me. I'm like, Mom, you have so much experience, you have so much to offer, you are doing so much, but you're not putting it out there. So I think it's just really undervaluing what we have to offer.
What do we say to Light on. Good morning. Fantastic. Thank you so much for that example. This thing that we do so well, we think it's because it's so easy for you. You think it's easy for everybody else. It's not true. And that's why you undervalue, because you're like, is it not just this thing that took me 10 minutes? Now, I don't tell how long it takes me to do anything because it's been years of experience. So people say, but why do you charge this much? Or why? I'm like, look, it's 15, what you are getting, 15, 20 years of experience racked into me to tackle this problem 10 minutes. It's not the length of time, right? So for you've been doing your work. This is work that you can solve in your sleep. You have been solving problems in your sleep. Another thing is, we only look at the circle in which we operate. Right? Now, what I want you to do is when you're trying to value yourself, say to yourself, if I didn't do this, what would have been the consequence for the company? My doing this, what did it add to the company? And that is how you measure your impact, right? So I did this change management system, and you're like, what's the big deal? But did it save the company 20% on their budget? And then that's where you start to be able to communicate your real value. So First thing first, don't anything you can do, even if that you at your age you can wear high heels that are high, whatever it is, value it because not everybody can do it, right? No matter what comes too easy to you. Secondly, think about the impact for the person you are doing it for, right? Not just, oh, but this thing it will just take me 15 minutes to solve. I've done it for 3 years. No, not everybody has done it for 3 years. No, not everybody has that unique background to be able to solve that problem. Thank you very much.
Glory's story resonates with me very, very deeply, very much. Because, and I've said this before, I've told this story before. But I started today by saying, I've always said I'm a background person. I'm a background person. Where did that come from? I realized when I started thinking about it that it's come from when I was a child. When I was 3 years old, I had polio. And I started walking, from that time, I walked with a limp. And I felt, of course, I was different. I was the only child in my class, in my school, that was different. And it was not a good different. And I didn't want to be different. All I wanted in my life was to fit in, was to be like everybody else. And so I figured, well, I have this issue. The best way to get around that is to be as likable as possible and as invisible as possible. I'm never going to be the one that's picked for anything in front. I'm never going to be the one that they pick for any role anyway. So let me just be. And all of this happens on a subconscious level. At age 6, 7, 8, you've kind of internalized all of this. Your brain, your mind, all your mind wants to do is help you survive. And it's figured out this is how you're going to survive within your context and speak. I write for people to go and give the speeches, to go and give the presentations, to go, but not me.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing that story. Please, round of applause again for her. Thank you for sharing that story. So I think what I'm trying to get here is that we have to dig deep and touch on those things. Some of those things are buried in our subconscious, right? Those things that are keeping us from being visible. Why did I could have come here and said 5 steps to being valuable on LinkedIn. I can do that with my eyes shut, but it will make no difference because you will write it in your book, and till you see me somewhere else, you won't open that book. Until you see yourself, you can never be visible. Until you accept that you are powerful, you are valuable, that you have the expertise, you have the skills. Any visibility thing you do, you will just start and go back. Start and go back. Start to see yourself for the person that you are. Have that good morning moment again and again with yourself in front of the mirror. That's how you become valuable. Because the truth about it is that somebody said there's a rule of 10. In a room with 10 people, 3 people like you, 4 don't, and 2 don't give it down. Is that 10? Whatever it is, right? Yeah. So there are people in this room now that are like, okay, when is the next speaker? And that's okay. There are people that are like, oh my God, she's speaking to my soul. That's okay. People like, why am I even here again? That's all right. Do you understand? And the reason why you have to be valuable to yourself first is that if you go out there and you meet the 4 people that don't like you, you start to say, I said it. That Glory was just talking nonsense. I couldn't even have anything to offer. And that's not true. So that's the first thing. How you become visible is by seeing yourself. And if you forget anything I say here today, if you're going to work on anything, you seeing yourself. Okay? Don't let anybody put a value on you. Put a value on yourself. The next part now is how to be visible. Visibility gets a bad rap because people think visibility is popularity. It is not. Visibility actually has nothing to do with popularity. I don't want to be popular, but I want the people that need me, that will value me, to know that I can solve their problems. And that's what visibility is. Visibility is the strategic art of letting the right people know, right? Strategic art of letting the right people know what you are capable of. So that when opportunities come, you are top of mind. That's visibility. So it doesn't matter if you have 100 followers, 150 followers, 3 followers, 2 followers. It don't matter. 1 million followers, doesn't matter. Now, the currencies we use to measure things in this world, they're very warped. But it's all about what I'm learning, and that's one of my good morning moments over the last few years, is to create my own parameters of measuring, not to imbibe everybody else's, right? I have a client. She does maritime security in the Gulf of Guinea. Until I met her, I didn't even know that there was a problem with security in the Gulf of Guinea. Like, the last time I had Gulf of Guinea was probably in JS3 in a geography class. But, so she writes her articles on LinkedIn. 30 likes, 15 likes, 20 likes. She's like, Glory, my articles are not trending. I said, how is it going to trend? Nobody cares about the Gulf of Guinea. But the people that care are seeing you. Keep writing. And it was until a day that she was invited to do some training. And she got to the training center abroad and she saw her bosses in the room. So people abroad hired her to come and do a training. And she got there and it was people in Nigeria. People in Nigeria were in that room. And that's when she was like, okay, I believe you now. I don't need the likes. What I need is to just keep showing is my expertise to the people that need it. Because how many of you here need maritime security, unless you are shipping something from China? Do you understand? So we now know the definition of visibility. How do we become visible? I've already mentioned the first step. Please, help me with time, because I'll take everybody's time here. Fantastic, thank you. So the first step, I've already told you, see yourself. See yourself. Step 2, now that you've seen yourself, what do you want to be known for? This is it's a layered question. What do you want to be known for? I was talking to somebody the other day. So she's a potential client. And she came, she's like, Glory, there are 3 things. I was like, okay, what does visibility success look like for you? She's like, okay, I want to change. What kind of jobs are you looking for? So she said the first one, where she's working now, she thinks that she's ripe for a director role. The second thing, she thinks she should do a lateral move, right? And then the third thing, and when she said that third thing, she paused. She's like, the third thing, I really like digital transformation. I've been doing that now for the last 15 years. Everything around my work, project management, but it's really digital transformation. She's like, so I'm so confused. I said, you're not confused. Let me put that in order of priority for you. Just from the look on her face, I could tell her. I said, that lateral move is your safety blanket. You've just said that, so in case, bad as the bad, if nothing happens, I'll make a lateral move. The one you said about becoming a director, because you feel logically that's the next step for you. But you see this digital transformation, it's your vibe. It's what you want to do. Many times we know what we want. I have another client, when she wants to, in fact, she did something hilarious the other day. She runs a legacy company with her mom. And so she was talking about this legacy company online. And she said, a woman that owns so-and-so company. So she's like, oh, Glory, can I send the article, publish the article? And I called her. I said, who is the woman that owns so-and-so? She says, her mommy. I said, why can't you put in brackets, my mom, the company I work for? She's like, hey, I'm always talking about it. I said, you've never spoken about it. Please do that. There's something about us that we're just like, anything that's going to put that light, anything that's going to put that light, we go away. She wants to talk about it, she moves back. She wants to talk about it, and we play that game with ourselves. And it's time to have that sit down, come to Jesus moment, and just say, what do I really, really want? What is it that I really, really want? What do I want to be known for? Even if it seems like, oh my God, you are joking. How can you get that? How can you do that? Even if it seems like, a cat out of hell, it's not possible. Just at least admit, even if you don't admit to everybody, admit it to yourself. So ask yourself, what do I want to be known for? The next thing, and this is another important thing I want you to remember. The people who have achieved what you want to achieve, go where they are. That's another thing I tell people. When it comes to networking, that is the only rule that applies. There's no other networking rule. Go for this event, sit down, talk to 5 people. The people who have achieved the things you want to achieve, go where they are. So you see that, what do I want to be known for? So let's say you're my client now. You want to be known as the digital transformation expert, helping with change management practices across Africa. Just say, where are the other digital transformation thought leaders? What groups do they belong to? How are they showing up? Google them. When I started my coaching practice, it was even somebody that told me, this thing you want to do, because I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know how to define it. She said, this thing, and this was like 2016, 2017. Coaching wasn't a thing, like as popular as it is now anyway. And she said to me, this thing you are saying, it sounds like coaching. I said, eh. So I Googled top 100 coaches in the world. And I started reading their bios. And there were some bios, when I read them, it's like I wanted to stand up. Because I was like, this bio is calling my spirit, is calling my soul. There were some other bios I would read. I was like, nah. But that just tells you, it started to show me how to communicate my skills. It started to show me that what the things I wanted to do. Because at first I didn't think anybody would ever pay. Hey, in fact, somebody, sorry, I digress, but this story is so funny. A lady who now, has used my services time and time again said to me, Gloria, I want to confess. I said, what? She said, when you introduced yourself at this event that I met you, the first time I met you, you said you're a LinkedIn visibility coach. I went home and I laughed at you with my husband. I laughed. I said, hey, I told my husband, there's no job title they don't have again in this world, though. LinkedIn visibility coach. How is she eating? How is she eating? So when she told me, I laughed. Because I remember, I think later on she was asking me, is this all you do? What else do you do? I said, this is what I do. And I was wondering, I don't understand. How many times will I answer this question? This is all I do, right? But it was because she just thought, this is just a ridiculous job. Like, I don't understand. So my point here is, again, that rule of 10, right? Some people will get it, some people won't get it. Your job is not to convince anybody of your value. The only person that needs convincing is yourself. If they don't get it, they don't get it. If they are going to get it, they will get it. When you are being visible, it's not, don't convince. It was the lady sent me an email one day. She said, Glory, I want to buy your course, but I need you to convince me to buy it. So I told my PA to reply her, we don't do convincing, but we have testimonials. You can look at them and reach out to the people who have given those testimonials. Not in that business. It's not pride. It's not a thing of pride. It's just a thing of, I know the value I add, but I also know that the value is not for everybody. Some people will like it, some people will not like it, and it's okay. So, go where the people who have achieved the things you want to achieve go. Digitally, on LinkedIn, these are the types of people you connect with. Ask yourself, who needs to know about me? Who is the equivalent of me in Ghana? Have you connected with them? Because for me, when I started my business, all those coaches, I connected with them all. Those coaches that I saw, that I told you that when I wanted to stand up, there was one of them, Dory Clark. I was just amazed. I was like, oh my God, this is what I want. This is what I want. And that day, I still have the email, 2017 or 2016. I sent them an email. So this thing I'm telling you, it works. If you want to see the emails, I can show you the emails. It works. Who is the equivalent? Who is doing what you want to do? Do they know about you? Connect. It doesn't matter. Some of them will reply, some of them won't reply. It's life. There are people that have sent you messages today, you have not answered them. You are rejecting people up and down. People up and down. It's okay. So I think that's number 4. Go where the people who have achieved the things you want to achieve go. The next one, document your experience. Talk about the things you've done. Tell stories. All of you here, you all have stories. You all have stories. You have your war stripes on your arms, on your shoulder, on your back. Things you survived. Things nobody knows about. Things that people, and this is something I tell women that they don't understand. Somebody has not moved because you haven't moved. This visibility thing, 80% of the time is not about you. It has nothing to do with you. Yes, you'll be visible. Yes, this, that, and the other. But somebody is waiting to see you. I remember then when I was thinking, what am I going to do next? This career that I have. I went to get this PhD. The whole world is expecting me to enter academia. I really have no appetite for this, right? It was because of those other coaches that I saw, or those women I interviewed, that were just using a different ladder in life that gave me the inspiration to say, I can do this. And so somebody is waiting for you to move. So document your experience. Talk about the things you've done. So what kind of content can you create on LinkedIn? There are different types. The first type, right, is something I call heart articles. What are heart articles? Imagine you are in a room with the people you want to speak to the most. What would you share? What would you tell them? What is it that you're going to say? You're going to speak from the heart. What would you share? The other type, competency pieces. These are articles, expertise-driven articles, where you talk about a tough problem you solved in your industry. People around the world are wondering how Africans and Nigerians are dealing with dollar volatility. You are solving that problem every day. Nobody knows how you are solving it. How? How is it possible? It's almost a crime. It's actually almost a crime, right? So that's competency. The next is topical. What is topical in your sector? What are the things that are happening now in your sector that everybody's talking about? And when you're writing these things, it's not the definition of climate change that's not how you start. Imagine, and this is what I say to people, right? So 2 things. Tone for LinkedIn or any other social media, digital media platform. The tone is, imagine you're talking to your boss that you have a great relationship with. It's kind of semi-formal. It's not so formal, it's semi-formal. The second thing I say to people when you're thinking about tone, how should I write it, is imagine you're coming out from a conference, you're having lunch with some other industry people, and you people are talking about the keynote speech, or you're talking about, one of the panel sessions. What would you say? A lot of times people say, oh, I'm going to write my LinkedIn article, but I just need to go and do some more research. What are you researching? need more research. This is the thing. Women always think, look, as you are here, somebody told me this last year and I didn't really believe, but now I'm beginning to believe it. And it is true. As you are here, you are already complete. Oh God, truly. I know that you might not believe it, but as you are here, you don't need one more. If you want to get certificate, it's up to you. But you don't need one more. You don't. You're okay. I remember my very first American client that paid me in USD. I pitched for it. I was signed to her. She's a coach. I was signed to her newsletter and she was doing a mastermind for women. And I looked at the lineup. I said, I should be on this lineup. So I sent her an email. I said, hello, my name is Dr. Gloria Dozie and this is what I do, blah, blah, blah. I've looked at your lineup, looks amazing, but I think I can add value by doing X, Y, and Z. She wrote, in my mind, I was like, Gloria, you must be crazy to send this to her. But I did. She wrote back to me. She's like, oh, Gloria, I've looked at your LinkedIn profile. I put a link to my profile there. I've looked at your LinkedIn profile. I think you're doing amazing work. Can we have a chat? I'd like to put you on my podcast. She put me on her podcast. So, pitch yourself, right? And you have to anchor your visibility projects and the things you do to your goals. You're not just being visible for the sake of being visible. You have to anchor it to your career goals, your business goals. So say to yourself, am I getting closer to my goals? If I'm not getting closer to my goals, why not? But to wrap up, remember, visibility is the strategic art of letting the right people know what you do so that you are top of mind when they have the opportunities that you need. If you forget anything, remember, visibility is not about you. Also, remember, before you can be visible, you must see yourself. Thank you very much.
There's a lot of gems she shared, and I hope we all took notes. For me, what stood out the most was when she said, clarity comes by movement, so start. And I'll say that because I feel like I have so many ideas, but there's this thing we call imposter syndrome, right? I think of something and I just say, okay, yes, I'll do it later. And then later turns to a month, a year, and so forth. So this time around, I'm going to start, and I hope it's the same for everyone here as well. So we're moving on to our next session. And this speaker epitomizes excellence in strategic communications and influence. With a remarkable 21-year legacy of shaping industries and championing women's empowerment, she's left an indelible mark on the landscape. From steering multi-million-dollar initiatives to pioneering award-winning media series like MTV Sugar, she sets the standard for visionary leadership. With her Transform Her initiative, she's not just breaking barriers, she's shattering them, empowering women to reach new heights of leadership. Today, she takes the stage to share insights on the topic, Hacking the Confidence Code. Get ready to be empowered as she unveils the secrets to seizing opportunities with unyielding confidence. Please join me in welcoming our esteemed speaker, a trailblazer and advocate for change, Ifoma Williams.
Please clap for her again. And I have some pet peeves. My number one pet peeve is people who turn up late. I hate it. I had a meeting with a group of people for 2 p.m. My friend was bringing them. And at 2:15, I called. I said, where are you now? She said, oh, we've just left Aja. Then my office was in Lekki. I said, what do you mean you just left Aja? Our meeting is for 2. She said, 2 for 2:30. I said, what does that mean? 2 for 2:30. The second one has to do with glory. You see, if you did not go through writing a PhD thesis, right, and they gave you an honorary cap, don't call yourself doctor. I hate it. Yeah, no, it's bad. So no matter how many times you've spoken, and I speak for a living, when you have speakers like Glory before you, you will shake. So I was just watching her. Then I started writing notes. I said, hey, if I don't remember, I'll just say, so the first thing I wrote is PhD. Talk about how she's PhD. See, Glory, hey. No matter how many times you speak, right? So that's the first thing to hacking the confidence code. Understand something. No matter how many times you speak, you will have butterflies in your stomach when you have to come up again. And if nobody laughs at your joke, start laughing by yourself. I've done it before. If nobody laughs, if you don't laugh, I'll laugh at myself. If I'm too nervous and I trip and I fall, it will become a dance move. Then I'll sashay up. Part of the presentation. Always turn things to suit you. You see, this world is not smiling. I'm a very positive person. Yemi will tell you, Bola will tell you, Kemi will tell you, Shalakwe will tell you, T Baby will tell you. I have my own issues, but naturally, I would say I'm happy, I'm positive. But life deals you blows. Today, I'm going to really center this conversation around myself. Not to be self-centered, but the best way to teach people stuff is from your experience, because you are only better than your last performance. I'm not saying that biographies are not good, but at the end of the day, right, when Glory says document your performances, your experiences, all of that, it is so key and it's very important. And I'm going to give you T Baby. How can I pass T Baby? Number 3. Okay. Hi. I'm distributing everything here. 5, 6. Let me go here for a minute. 7, 9. I have 17 things to distribute. So because 11. Don't open until you're told. Please don't open. Or you've opened yours already. Who haven't I given? Did I give you one? Okay. Who else doesn't have a card? Okay. Sorry. I'll do this. So, card number 1, that's what's up on the screen. Now, the reason you have the cards is we wanted to make it more interactive. And secondly, when I finish speaking to number 1, which I have, when I say card number 2, then the people behind will know that it's time to change the slide because we don't have a clicker. We have to improvise. So card number 2, I'm still on the journey. You never fully hack the confidence code. Moyemi and I were just talking about something. She has the most brilliant idea. And I'm actually shaking and thinking, wow, I love our generation, I dare say. So I'm still on the journey is to tell you that you never fully hack confidence. It's something that you might lack it in one situation. I went into Access Bank one day. That day, I met with Aigboje Aigimokwede and the late Herbert Wigwe. Sat with them for 2 hours. And I left Access Bank with an approval and a commitment of $2 million. Access Bank has signed up Dora the Explorer. I used to be country manager for Viacom. Nickelodeon was one of the channels I managed. And I signed the single largest licensing deal that MTV had ever seen in Africa. Forward to 10, how many years later? Armed with all I know. And after that deal, go to breweries, they will sign, go here, go there. I launched my own TV show. I said, just for a few episodes I was sponsored by myself. Once I walk in anywhere now, in fact, they'll even be begging. The first no, I was told. For a few minutes, I was just looking. Thankfully, the corporate affairs manager I went to meet is a friend. So after a few minutes, he said, Ifoma, I know, Abi. It's just not what we're thinking of this year. I'm still on the journey. Card number 3. So how did it all begin? In the beginning, as a young child, I came from a family where words of affirmation were very valued. At the time, I don't think they even knew it was affirmation. I always say that in 1999, I was crowned Lux Photo Beauty Queen. But from age 1 or 2, I remember everybody in my house, from my dad, my mom, my brothers, everybody knew me as the queen. My parents affirmed us. My mom affirmed. My dad affirmed me so much. When guests come and I've gone to introduce myself and say, hello, you came to look for Mama. What's your name? My grandmother would drag me to a corner and she would say, sit with yourself. Just sit down. Sit with yourself. Ladies, let me pause and tell you, sitting with yourself is a very important thing. You have to learn to sit with yourself. There's a lady who works with Flutterwave. And she said the first time she followed the Flutterwave guys into a room when they went to pitch for money in America, they agreed a figure in flight. When they got to the venue, she said she actually believed the boy was drunk, he did not sleep well, or she was not hearing well. She said he called a figure that made her unable to open her laptop. She said, and the boy said, it's gonna be big. You better hop on this now, or you miss out on the best thing to come out of Africa. You will lose. They were talking to investors, and the boy said, you will lose. Guess what? Gusto. The investor hopped on. Flutterwave is a unicorn today. $1 billion over. You know what we do as ladies? Yeah, what we need is 100,000, but let's start with we'll just start with 20. We'll just give you a proof of concept. When we do better, maybe you increase Yeah. I want you to be comfortable. No, be bullish. What is the worst they can say? The worst thing you can hear is no. Point number one about confidence. You have been socialized a particular way, but you heard what Glory said. The only person who needs convincing is you. You are unstoppable. You will only get better. Guess what? I'm a trainer. When I go into a group or a class to train, corporate, executive, or whatever level, I say to them, please ask any question. The only time you will remain stupid is if you don't ask. There's no such thing as a stupid question. Ask it, and if people around you laugh with them. Laugh with them because you know where you are going. Card number 4. So I told you about growing up and all of the pomp and you know what I mean? Even in spite of are you a boy, I just felt, what's the big deal is me. As I'm walking anywhere, primary school, wherever, the queen. I had some bullies in primary school. I still remember their names. I've started, because I'm now a very strong Christian, I've decided to really forgive them. Who God has blessed, no man can curse. If you want to be cursed on your own, no, I am blessed. I did not create myself. It's not it's a blessing. But it has downsides because not everybody. People will just see you, the sight of you. Do you know some people, so badly want to put you down that even as you are speaking, they cannot even pretend. Then when you quickly catch their face in the audience, they'll be like, haters. You see, hating, you better just carry it, mix it, and start using pomade. Start using it to rub cream. Because if you don't have haters, you're doing everything wrong. You need them, they are my fuel. Now, let me tell you, once I spot them in a room, first of all, drag these trousers lower so that it can, that effect. Paris Hilton, that's rich, where they are white to be dirty. I'll move the trousers lower, then I'll start walking like this. Although I'm not that slim for that look, you know what? Anyway, so the rude shock came. I quickly got over it. And I say, but all is well. I learned, right? Card number 5. All is well or not. It brought me to the point where I asked myself, who really am I? Shalakbe and I just used the exact, and I told her, I said, this is the Spirit of God. She has not seen my slides. It brought me to the point where I said, who am I? So the first public event I had to go for was an older aunt of mine. Well, when I say old, she was 50 that year. So she's 60, 61 now. The party was in London. I first arrived in London. I went to Selfridges. If you see the cacks. When I went to purchase the outfits, I said, I need something with a tail, cascading, something long. I need something to be following me. When I entered the door, I need something to drag long. I did one hairstyle. The thing was that Andrea said, Effie, what is this? If you know my husband, I said, it's outfit. He said, are you the celebrant? I said, I know what I'm doing. 8:15, I was like, what are you doing? We're going to be late. I said, just relax, broad guy. I needed to arrive late. Then when I entered, the floor was something like this. And I said, instead of just going to sit, I have to go and greet the celebrant. I went to greet her because I'm sure people were looking. She came out. You see, that's how bad. But Glory said something. Do you know this thing happened 11 years ago, but the penny just dropped for me when she was speaking today. What did she say? She said, 10 people, 3 like you, 4 don't, and 3 don't give a damn. So that day, half of the people I was sashaying for did not send. But it's what I was thinking. So be careful the thought you are holding on to. Let it go. Once you find who you are, and who you are is not about you. It's about the impact you have been sent to this world to make. Let me tell you something, lovely ladies. There are 3 ways you can earn. You can earn income, which is what most people think about. But you can earn impact and influence. That's what takes you to significance. And that's what enables you live a legacy in this life. You need to think beyond yourself. People who are lacking in confidence stop at thinking about themselves. When you come out of yourself and you discover that purpose and you are making impact, trust me, your confidence will grow. Card number 6. Oh, no. The 2 types of no. If you stop to throw stones at every dog that barks, you will not get to the marketplace. There are some things you have to ignore and say no. Secondly, many things mask themselves as opportunities and they are distractions. If you are torn in too many directions, Physical weakness and being drained erodes confidence. You cannot hone one and hold it and become confident there. The second no is when people say no to you. See, rejection can be redirection. So know how to say no and know how to take on no. Card number 7, I think it is. Is it 8? Yes. When we're talking about confidence, and I said finding yourself, Glory spoke about how when she charges and someone says, I need you to convince me, I'm not in the business of convincing. It's not arrogance. If tomorrow I want to do anything in, say, the fashion industry that has to do with how am I going to boost or enhance this creative part of the economy, and I go to Omoyemi and Omoyemi says, I charge X amount of money, I'll pay that money. You know why? I know she has the expertise. Now, there are people who know your expertise, but they will come to you and talk nonsense. Don't get upset. Like Glory said, we're not in the business of convincing. We have testimonials, and it's not arrogance. You have to be mindful of how you use your time and what you lend your ears to. Intentionality speaks to, now I know who I am and where I am going. What is the plan? Because it is after you've done this thing repeatedly that your confidence becomes stronger. Now I'm speaking about career and work. So if you're not intentional about building and boosting that confidence, you know what I mean? This thing of being who you are not to impress, you can fool all of the people some of the time. Some of the people all of the time, but not all of the people all of the time. Card number. Intentionality. If you have any question and answer, going it alone. Ladies, no matter how experienced you are, versed in your skill or industry, community is good. And I'm tired of hearing women, we don't help each other. Me, I'm now bullish about it. I'll call you, I'll say, T-Baby, there's something I want to do. It's you that can help me. If I notice you are being, I said, T-Baby, what's the problem? Is it that? Let's talk now. Don't worry, I'm not stealing your market share. Just show me here. Okay, you know what? You sell here, let me sell here. Have conversations. Build each other. You see, when I see this for Women's Day, all well and good. Please, can I borrow you? I didn't give you a card. Now I'm going to borrow you. Do you know what I want to see as women? This is what I want to see you. Lock at the elbow where it can break. Let us lock each other and pull each other up. The other time, thank you, I was talking to someone about Metropolitan Club. I said, we should have something like this for women. You know, Met Club, I think they meet on Tuesdays or Wednesdays every week. Metropolitan Club in VI. I think that club is like 100 years old. They meet Tuesdays, they have lunch, they network, and they watch you if you don't come for club meetings and all that. And I was saying, good if we did something like that. I know Gaia has started. I don't know if they have weekly meetings and all. Then I stopped. I said to myself, but we have to be careful before we go there and go and be settling fights. You go there now and say, Bola will say, the last time I saw you, you saw when I entered, you carried your face. What's the problem now? Do you know if my shoe was paining me? We focus on stupid things that are taken away from things that can build us and boost confidence. Irrelevant. So still on going it alone, my answer is no. Find your community of women. We need a community. Do you know that a man will just call his friend and say, oh boy, I need someone that can, and I'm sending you his number now. As he puts the phone down, he's calling the guy. Hey, I've given so and so your number. Women, hey, I know someone, but I don't want to vouch for. Then I can get off the phone now and I'll quickly call Kemi. Kemi, you know the person that does? And Kemi will say, yes, I know. Say, hey, someone just asked about, my hand is not there. How about you call the lady and say, hey, I'm about to recommend you for blah, blah, blah. But there were 1 or 2 times, maybe you're catering, maybe this slipped, but, you know. Now, if it is really bad, don't go and recommend it. But I'm saying, you know, hey, we need to help lift each other. It's so important. You cannot go it alone. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go further, go together. So what really is confidence? It's a belief in oneself, one's abilities, accompanied by a sense of assurance and self-assuredness in various situations. You've got to believe in yourself. Do you know if you don't believe in yourself and you are making a pitch, do you know people are looking at your eyes? So let me tell you what happens to us as women. When you go to make a pitch, you are looking at everybody you are pitching to with anxiety. Now, guess what? You might be sure of your product too. But your lack of confidence in your delivery, not even the product now, can kill it. So once you convince yourself, do like those flutter wave boys. I said they went in there and told, if you don't do it, you're finished. It's going to be big. Biggest thing out of Africa. Big. Come on board now. Big. Those guys gave them the money. The lady said she came out of the meeting with them and she was pinching herself. That man. Imagine that they were going in there to ask for $500,000. These boys went in there and asked for $1 billion. And they got the money. They didn't even go there and say, these are the features. Oh. She said they spent the first hour telling the guys, Africa and us, we have it on lockdown. Big. Better join now. Forget about big. She said that's what they kept doing in the presentation. She said, the boys are mad. Oh. She said one person will look across the room to one of the partners. The boy will say, big. That's what they kept doing. Investors gave them money. I think it's 11. But is there all there is to confidence? My answer is no. And I have to step out a little bit and tell you the other side of confidence. Do not imagine that you're so confident in your field or your industry that you don't open yourself up to other people's perspectives. The stats show that there's a real leadership gap. Only 22% of senior positions globally are held by women. There's a reason for that. Big. So do you get more confident when you blow and are more financially stable, or does confidence guarantee more money? Quick, before they drive.
I think we're conditioned to think that financial stability means confidence. Very essence of who you are. You will think your confidence will be high when you are doing well, and it should naturally be low when you're not. But whereas if you've tapped into yourself, it doesn't matter how badly or how well you're doing. You know that it's a cycle. So I am not doing well now. It doesn't mean I'm always not going to be doing well, because your confidence is what's going to change that. And if you're doing well now, it's your confidence that will sustain it and will sustain any challenge that comes with the finances. And I'm saying this from my own personal experience. For those who are, when you have to budget and you say, my target this year is 200 million, and your target is 150, and you make 150 million, and you're being called to ask why you didn't make your target, there's a tendency to feel insecure. But I love what you said, that you can earn an income or you can earn impact and influence. So you did not make your target, but what did you do in addition to that? And it's important.
You see my class. The first time I heard Carpe Diem, I won't tell you how I pronounced it when they told me about my talk. That's not important. But the first time I heard Carpe Diem was to do with the Marines. And I can understand why this is their motto. Because this is the time. Yesterday is gone. Forget about it. Tomorrow is still far. Leave it where it is. And it takes me to my next and final slide. Ladies, seize the day. Carpe Diem. Thank you very much. Good morning.
A louder round of applause, please. Thank you so much, Ifoma. Thank you. I feel awkward saying Ifoma. Thank you so much, Auntie Ifoma. A big shout out to our sponsors again, Amstel Malta and Legend Twist, Beauty Hut, Gazmadu Studios. If you haven't taken your free professional headshots after this session, it's just right across, you take your pictures so that you can slay on LinkedIn. Kokari Coconuts, Zaron, Stargate, and of course SRS Collection, who were kind enough to give us this space. And they've also said, if you're interested, they're willing to take us around the building after everything we have planned. Also, please don't forget to tag us on Instagram at Chrystallis Conversations and use the hashtag The Good Morning Workshop. We would love to see your photos at the end of the day. So I'm going to be calling on a lovely sponsor of ours, Zaron. They're going to teach us a few tips and tricks, dab and dust. So they're going to come and teach us so that we can get those contracts. Like Auntie Former said, $1 billion, not 100K naira. That's what we need. So they're going to come and show us a few tricks and tips. So enjoy. Yes, clap for them.
Okay, so I'll make this very brief and as educative as possible. So Zaron Cosmetics has both Skin by Zaron and Zaron Cosmetics. So we are into both makeup and skincare. I mean, makeup would look amazing on you when your skin is already great. So we don't want to put makeup on unhealthy skin. That's why we have Skin by Zaron. So we need a volunteer from the crowd. Anybody? Any fine lady? Anybody wants to be finer? Yay!
Her eyes make the stars look like they're not shining. Her hair falls perfectly without her trying. She's so beautiful, and I tell her every day. Yeah, I know, when I compliment her, she won't believe me. And it's so sad to think that she don't see what I see. But every time
Okay,
she
this
asks
is
me,
this is
do I look
this is
okay?
before and after.
When I see your face.
Okay, so this session I've been looking forward to. And it's an intimate fireside chat on audacity, authenticity, and the defining power of tenacity. Joining us is none other than Kemi herself, the driving force behind Chrystallis Conversations, accompanied by the inspiring Omoyemi Akerile, the visionary behind Lagos Fashion Week and Style House Files. And I mean, she's done her makeup now, so the vibe is different. Omoyemi Akerile, with over 2 decades of shaping Africa's fashion landscape, is renowned for her unwavering commitment to empowering African designers and advancing sustainable fashion. Together, they'll delve into the qualities that have propelled them to success and continue to inspire others. Please make welcome Kemi Ogunleye and Omoyemi Akerile.
We don't know how she always finds a way. The mystery of a woman, a savior in a time of need. The bravery of a woman in your time of need. She does the magic of a woman.
Good morning, everyone, again. Good morning, rise and shine. How you guys feeling? I have to say thank you. God did everything about Chrystallis is God. The whole idea about Chrystallis, the inspiration for Chrystallis, is God. And it's God that has brought us. It's been 7 years, 2017 to 2024. I'm really grateful to God, and I'm excited about what is coming next. Thank you to SBD Global Media. We've got some amazing things. Watch this space, because SBD Global Media, they're the ones covering this event. Omoyemi, thank you for being here. So, when I sent her the title, Authenticity and the Defining Power of Tenacity, she'll tell us, what was it like when you first started telling people what you want to do?
So, in terms of, I think maybe starting from that break between law and going down a different path, because I think there's been different steps to the journey, to my journey, and to sort of telling this story. But I remember when I decided that it wasn't law anymore, and I wanted to do something else. At the time it was image consulting, and I didn't even know what that was, because I was at home, pregnant and barefoot, like literally speaking, and just asking, what am I supposed to be doing? That question that you ask yourself when you're alone, and then you're expecting someone or a voice. When people talk about how do you hear God and how do you listen and how do you commune, you're really waiting for the voice to say, "Woo, do this," very hocus pocus, kind of way. But the answers didn't come. For me, it took quite a bit of soul searching. And when I say soul searching, maybe what Ifoma has described as sitting with yourself, but from that place of birthing, that place of like asking yourself, what do you really want to do? And in hindsight, thinking back at that process, I didn't, don't forget, you won't really know where you would be in 20, I mean, where are we now, 2024? But you're in a place where you're like, God, there's got to be more than this. And I really wanted more to be more. I don't know how to explain it. I didn't have the words then, but yeah, I just remember coming up with a list of things that I wrote down, and starting. And when I say starting, I guess that comes with support system, because you can't do anything without your support system. I was married at the time. I was pregnant. Of course, I had parents who had invested quite a lot in my
Education, in your
in
law.
my education and everything. So it took quite a lot to say, wait a minute, this is not what I want to do anymore. When you were, like fast, I mean, like a year before I was contemplating a PhD, and then you wake up the year after and you're like, no, I want to do something in fashion. It was really ridiculous and, something, it was unheard of. Not what I wanted to do, but just that 360-degree turn. I remember talking to B-Boy. Boy is in the room, and, and we're talking about, fashion and all of that. And Boye was like, she just moved to Boston. I call her the OG fashion designer. She'd, got married and she was living a whole business that she'd set up. And, that, which included a workshop that had tailors and had machines. And when I said, oh, I think it's fashion in that line, Boye said, oh, do you want to take over my atelier? I'm like, no, girl, I don't think.
Yeah, that's not it.
Boye, do you remember? Like, no,
That's
no,
not
no.
it.
That I don't think that that's what it is. So it really took like quite a bit of delving deeper to understand that it wasn't so much the art of making clothes or the art of clothing in that sense that inspires me, but everything else that happens once the clothes or the garments be made.
Okay, so Omoyemi, you said a few things now. First of all, for those who don't know, she studied law and she was practicing law. And when the Good Morning workshop, like I said, is about those of us waking up to our morning, to our potential. And it really is about inventing and reinventing yourself over and over again. Getting to Glory made the point that morning, it is not one time you wake up. You wake up and you wake up and wake up. So you keep recalibrating, reiterating. But she started off studying law and she actually practiced law. And then she decided this is what wasn't going to show. She had a Good Morning moment. But what is also stands out to me is the fact that you didn't say, okay, I don't want to study law and I now want to go and do maybe catering, or maybe I now want to go and be a writer. Maybe things that people will understand. But you wanted to do something that even you yourself didn't know. There was no path to that. How did you, at that point, what were the next steps you took? Okay, image consulting, when that came to you, what were the next steps?
Oh, okay. I guess I come from that generation where we didn't really know that everything's on YouTube, and
There was
and
no there was no YouTube.
yeah, and I guess also part of it is imposter syndrome. Like, okay, so you want to do this? Who says you can? You can't just get up and wake up and do a 360, career turn. So the first thing I did was, ooh, I feel like I need a degree to wave at people, and of course I couldn't go back to school. Hello, I was pregnant, so going to school wasn't an option. So I thought the best thing to do was to take a series of short courses. And there were short courses on image consulting and styling and all of that, which I did in London. And when I think back at that season of my life, and now I'm like, did you really do that? Because it has no bearing whatsoever on what I did, but I thought I needed it as a confidence booster, sort of like an armor to wear around, to make me feel justified that I was really called to do this. But there's been so many moments in my life, where I'm sitting in rooms and I'm in that phase today, but where I'm like, where people say to me that, what do you really know about fashion? And what do you really know? People have questioned along the way, you don't have a degree in fashion, you don't understand anything. People have thrown that at me, and I've been reminded over and over again that it's beyond the qualifications that you have, that sometimes some of the most important things in life are purpose driven, so it's about finding purpose. And it's taken me quite a while to understand that it was a quest for purpose at the time, not necessarily passion. I think so many times the word passion is bandied around, and don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with passion, but your passion can only take you thus
So
far.
far.
You'll be tired and you'll be like, I'm done.
Mhm.
But if you're purpose driven, if purpose is the starting point for you, like, what am I supposed to be doing? And it doesn't have to be something that's so distinct in that sense. It doesn't have to be something that you have the roadmap. I think that's the word I'm looking for. I still don't have a roadmap. I'm still like, on that journey, but I know what the purpose is. And when your purpose is defined, combined with the natural gifts and innate ability that God has placed inside of you, right? And then you now have that passion, which is what would probably motivate you to be able to get up out of bed because you're excited, and that's all I think it's the perfect recipe for, yeah, for
Success.
you to be able to do what
Ish.
you
Success. We'll come back to talk about success because the word success itself is so nebulous. It's one of those words that, first of all, means different things to different people. I would like to know what success means to you, and if you think you've achieved success yet. But let that one marinate. We'll come back to that. It's interesting that you say people still question whether you're qualified. You don't have a degree in fashion. Fashion is one of those spaces that's quite creative. You don't think of people being so impressed by degrees or certifications. Has that been something where you think this has maybe affected how you show up in these spaces, or rather, let me rephrase that: how does that impact how you show up in these spaces?
I mean, don't get me wrong. We belong to a generation where all of us studied. I mean, I'm sure there's no one in this room who studied fashion as a first degree. That's in our age group. It's
Yeah.
very rare. You know what I mean? But fast forward like a few years, we're in spaces where some people have first degrees in fashion, master's degree in fashion. Do you understand?
Yeah.
You know, I find myself in rooms like that where they they understand the history of fashion. You know, it's the same way you've lived and breathed law is the same way that this is all they've done. This is what they fed on. This is what they know. So it's only natural that when you walk into a room like that, I'm like, oh my gosh, I do a check, a quick scan. Is today the day they are going to find out that, I'm just faking all of this as I go along. So yes, of course it affects me. It affects, especially, with millennials and all of that who really studied fashion. And I've had someone walk up to me before, to my face. She's like, I don't really know what it is about you, you're not fashion, but it was almost like she was saying to me, I don't know where
do
you came
fit
from.
in and where how
They're trying to, figure out where to put me or all of that. And I just smiled, But that experience sort of stayed with me. And now I ask myself, like, okay, what part of you or what version of you is going to show up? Of course, over time, with experience, I found a way to just deal with that. But I realized like a couple of years ago that it's not something that's going to stop. So if it's not about fashion today, this season or phase of my life, people are talking about climate fashion, climate finance. They're talking about carbon
Sustainability.
assets.
Yes.
I'm in the room. They're talking about greenhouse global emission. I'm sitting on advisory meetings and they're throwing figures out. They're talking NDDC something. I'm like, what does NDDC? I don't know Jack. And they invite me to speak in different. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is So it's something that it's something
it's
that
a
I've
constant.
and I've come to accept that it's never going to go away because I'm never going to be an authority on everything, So and it's fine. It's my way of it's become my way of learning or trying to understand what space or what field I'm in at that particular point in time, and to just understand that if this is my area of expertise, you can't beat experience.
Yeah.
If this is it's like the Pareto principle. 20% of my, this is what I have done. So you cannot beat me on what I have done. You cannot beat me on my lived experience. You cannot question my experience. It's what I have
Absolutely.
done. It is what I do.
Thank you, Omoyemi, so much. We're going to change the chairs and invite Ifoma and Glory up.
We don't know how she always finds a way, the mystery of a woman, a savior in a time of need, the bravery of a woman.
We're going to do the Q&A session now, like Auntie Kemi said. So if you have any questions for the speakers, please signify by raising your hands and I'll come to you.
All sessions were amazing. I think, how do you balance? Because I do preach to my clients to be out there and stuff, and I'm really a BTS person. I think they call people like us like behind the scenes. We are movers and shakers, but we are very happy to be behind the scenes. But you just really find that the way everything is now, as I said, I preach it to my clients, but I don't particularly like it. You do have to be visible, but how do you balance staying true, authentic? There's some people in this world that are the wealthiest, that are the most impactful, and we don't know. How can one take that path? Is a very funny question. But there are people like that you don't necessarily know. The people that need to know them. Maybe even only 30 people in the world know them, and they have a lot of money. They're helping thousands and millions of people. But they're not writing articles. They're not but they are making things happen and they are doing their stuff. It sounds like a funny question, but how can that be a kind of reality? Thank you.
So I think it's a balance, and thanks for that question. Do you know Russell Wiener? Do you know Sabir Sami? Do you know Anthony Capuano? No. So the people I just read out now, Anthony Campagno is the CEO for Marriott International. The other person, Sabir, is the Chief Global Officer for KFC. The other person, Russell Wiener, is Chief Executive Officer at Domino's. Now, these people are visible on LinkedIn. They write articles. Creating the content. How did I find them? Because I'm currently working for a CEO in the hospitality sector, so I had to research and find them. So this idea, I think sometimes, and this is no shade to anyone, the way we do visibility in Nigeria, I think, makes us think that this is how visibility should be. If I ask anyone here, how many brothers and sisters do I have? What is the color of my car? You don't know that answer because I have chosen that nobody knows that. You can make the work visible and then put yourself as the person that directs that work. And that is all that is needed. So hopefully that gives some idea on how to start.
I think I just wanted to add to that really quickly. I think when I think about, because at the beginning I talked about how visibility terrifies me, I just wanted to always be behind the scene. But what brought me out of that comfort zone was what was inside of me that needed to come out. And so for me, it's not about I'm looking for fame or I'm looking for popularity. I just want to fulfill purpose. And in as much as that would require me to do things that will put me in front a bit more, I have to do that. So I think maybe that's how you marry it to staying authentic. It's asking yourself your why, and then how does that why intersect with your what? I think that for me, at least that's how I achieved harmony in that area, because I'm like, Kemi, there are things that I know this is what I'm supposed to do. This is what God has called me to do. It's what I'm created to do. And for me to do those things, I have to be. So I'm not seeking the spotlight or visibility for visibility's sake.
So I think I'll just share my experience, right? For the longest time, we had like front-facing social media handles with Style House and Lagos Fashion Week, and I had no digital presence in that sense. It was just the company, and I think, about 8 years ago, I got someone said to me, "You cannot be doing this, and you don't have your personal." Either, I mean, social media presence, whatever it was at the time, that you really have to. And I think I really struggled with it because, like you, and I'm sure a lot of us in this room, you consider yourself a very private person. Like, so how do I give, what I'm supposed to, that part of myself that's enough to get the work done? Because I think people do want to hear from you. I think people do really want to know what you think, not what you ate or where you slept, but I think people really do want to know to an extent. I follow you, and when you post, I'm interested to, I want to know what you're talking about in that sense. And I think there's so many people out there, and even if it's not just for us, I think for the younger people, who are looking, I'm saying this and I'm preaching to myself, like with having like a backlog of 20 things I need to put out there. But I think we get to a point that, we might have to be able to find that balance, but it still has to be an extension of who you are, done that way.
I have a question on imposter syndrome. And the statement that was made, today is the day I am caught. For a lot of people, it is something that is a constant worry. What would be, and this is to anyone willing to share from their experience, what would you say to anyone who deals with that on a regular basis? Because I feel very strongly, and I'm speaking from my own experience, that the women who show up, as Ifama said, squinting, it's a facade for, you know not appearing weak, how do you deal with imposter syndrome from your own experience? What do you say to yourself to combat the negative self-talk?
I didn't know. So, exactly that. Combat the negative self talk. You see, there's some things that we think are just said, but when you begin to practice these things, you'll see the difference. When I came up, I announced that my phone was off. I have noticed the peace, actually, physically, mentally, everything. When you're in situations where you feel like, che, they'll catch me today. Because of how we're socialized as women, we think that when we call to mind instances when we've done well, we're bragging or boasting. You have the right to brag about excellent performance. So once imposter syndrome wants to creep in, think back to the last time you did phenomenally and hold on to it. It helps. And talk to yourself.
Okay, so I think I agree with everything Ifoma has said. And that's when you're in the moment. But I think so many things happen to you before you get on that stage that you haven't controlled. And that's why when it's at that time, it's hyper. Recently, I had the opportunity to speak to a large audience, and in fact, I was irritated at how nervous I was. I was sending messages to like public speaking coaches that I know, speaking to people that please, I don't know, is my story right? Is my this? I was second guessing myself and everything. And when everything finished, I was like, "Glory, what was that?" And I realized the simple thing. So in 2022, I lost my dad. And since then, my life, as you can imagine, grief is a terrible thing. My life has been on its head. And I've lost, when I said that good morning, I'm going through a shedding and reshedding every day of my life. And what that means is that I have started to take a lot of negative self-talk on, and I haven't been conscious about feeding myself positively. So when the rubber hit the road, what I had in my arsenal, they were not arrows that would propel me forward. They were stones weighing me down. So so this is why it is important to validate yourself every day, to own your accomplishments, to be aware, to sit by yourself and know who you are. Because you never know when it's time to get on that stage and you don't know what you're carrying in your bag. So that's what I would say.
Thank you also once more to my sponsors, all the people on the partners, Beauty Hut, Gaz Maju Studios, Kokari Coconut, SRS Collection, Zaron, and Stargate Chauffeur. Thank you so much.
Always finds a way, the mystery of a woman, a savior in a time of need, the bravery of a woman. In your time of need, she does the deed, the magic of a woman. Woman, woman, a warrior is a woman. Woman, woman, a savior is a woman. Woman, woman, a warrior is a woman.
Hi, what's your name?
Lamdi.
Lamide. If you were to explain your experience today in one word, what would you say?
I would say insightful. It's good to see that there's togetherness with women now, especially in Nigeria. We've come a long way, and I'm glad to see that like older generations are willing to impact and just share stories of how their journeys have been in life in general. Yeah, and it was worth coming.
Hi, what's your name?
My name is Azima.
If you were to use one word to describe how you're feeling after this session, what would you say?
I'll say inspired.
Amazing.
Ready to implement the things that I've learned.
I'll be looking out for you.
And it's sort of everything was sort of layered on each other in such a way that it all came together. But I think that the most impactful thing for me from this session was understanding the concept of visibility and being able to apply it practically to where I am. And I'm going to be living here practicing the steps that I've gotten. That was Dr. Glory's session on practicing visibility in a way that doesn't sort of contradict who I am. You know, there's the fine line between publicity or wanting attention and being visible to the people that need you. So I'm going to find the people who I need to be with or who need to know about me and then practice it. Fingers crossed.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming.